Welcome to Lessons in Consciousness. This is part 2 of episode 5. In the last segment, I talked about how your consciousness is located outside of your brain and how the electromagnetic field created by neurons firing in your brain might be connected to an intelligence field that's outside of your head. Now, this intelligence field that I'm talking about might just be something that is known as the zero-point energy field in physics. Now, what is the zero-point energy field? Well, in simple terms, it's energy waves that are happening everywhere, and they create a background energy field for the entire universe. It's said to be demonstrated by something called the Casimir effect, which is shown by placing two really smooth metal plates extremely close to one another. The closer the plates get to each other without touching, the more force pushing the plates together can be seen. Now, the reason for this is theorized to be because the zero-point field is contributed to by all wavelengths of energy in the universe, long and short. As the plates come closer together, the longer wavelengths can't come between the two plates, so there's less pressure on the inside of the plates than the outside. So the plates are pushed towards each other by this increasing outside pressure from the zero-point field. You get it? Okay, so how do we know that it's the zero-point field that's putting pressure on these plates in the Casimir effect? Well, there's other evidence that comes from research with inertia, which shows that all matter in the universe only seems to have mass because the electromagnetic energy component of atoms is being affected by this sea of energy known as the zero-point field. The more atoms something has, the more it is affected by the zero-point field. That's why it's harder to start and stop a locomotive than a skateboard. Okay, this can get really complicated really fast, but I wanted you to know that there's some very good cutting-edge science that strongly indicates that all matter in the universe is affected by the zero-point field, including your brain. If you want to do more research, a good layperson's book would be The Field by Lynn McTaggart. Or you could look at the peer-reviewed scientific journal article by Haish, Rueda, and Pudolph called Inertia as a Zero-Point Lorentz Force. So, what other evidence is there that thought can be affected by electromagnetic fields? Well, there's something called transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is used to treat a variety of things, including bipolar disorder, depression, and even tinnitus, which is referred to as ringing in the ears. Now, this treatment shows that messing with the brain's electromagnetic activity can alter conscious awareness. Then there is evidence that the mind is affected by changes in the Earth's magnetic field, or geomagnetic activity. The primary cause of changes in the Earth's geomagnetic field is changes in solar activity. As you can see by this picture, the sun's electromagnetic radiation has a significant impact on the Earth's magnetic field. In 1963, Dr. Robert Becker and his colleague, Dr. Friedman, showed that changes in the sun's release of electromagnetic waves causes an increase in psychotic activity. In 1994, Ronald W. Kay found that hospital admissions of individuals with a diagnosis of mental depression rose 36.2% during periods of high solar flare activity, as compared with normal periods of solar activity. Also, Kuleshova, Poulinet, Sasanova, and Karchenko in 2001 documented a substantial and statistically significant effect of increased solar flares on human health. What they found was that the average number of hospitalized patients with mental and cardiovascular diseases almost doubles during periods of high solar flare activity. One of the more interesting researches concerning geomagnetic activity and thought was done at Brooklyn's Maimonides Hospital, where telepathy experiments showed that telepathic abilities were especially strong during periods of low solar activity. Maybe this is because there's less noise in the Earth's magnetic field to interfere with the electromagnetic connection between human minds. I'll explore this idea further in part 3 of this episode with something called circumcerebral magnetic stimulation. I'm Dr. Bruce King, and you've been watching Lessons in Consciousness.